Hi folks, time for assignment 6 review. Question 1 was to take the equation s equals 2x over 3, add 6 and get it to have the subject x. So first thing to do is to move the plus 6. You want to move the stuff that's furthest away from the x to begin with, so the plus 6 moves first. What we can do as well is we can switch this round. So I'll write it as 2x over 3 plus 6 equals s. So just switching the equation round the other way. Move that plus 6, so take 6 off both sides. Get 2x over 3 equals s, take away 6. To get 2x on its own, I need to get rid of this divide 3, so I times the 3 up. So 2x would equal 3 times s take away 6. And I'm putting the brackets in there because if you times more than one term by something, you have to put brackets in. And to get x on its own, I need to get rid of this times 2, so I actually need to divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to get 3 bracket s take away 6 all over 2. So that's question 1. Your first mark is for taking away 6, your second mark is for timesing the 3 up, and the third mark is for dividing the 2 over. So that's 3 marks available for question 1. Okay, question 2 was to take the equation h equals w plus 50 over m squared, and you had to change the subject to m. So in this one, I would move the w first so that you get the fraction on its own. So I'm going to keep h where it was, take away w for both sides, so I get h take away w equals, and just the fraction left over here. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is now that I've got the fraction on its own, I can get rid of the divide m squared at the bottom. So get rid of that divide m squared at the bottom, I'm going to times both sides by m squared. So it'll give me m squared h take away w equals 50. Alright. Now this is m squared times this bracket equals 50. I want to get m on its own, so I want to get rid of this bracket. So this times the bracket, to get rid of it, I'm going to divide both sides by h take away w. So it'll give me m squared equals 50 over h take away w. Finally, I've got m squared equals this stuff. I want to get what m equals, so I need to square root both sides. So it's the square root of 50 over h take away w. And that's question 2. So in terms of your marks, 1 mark for h take away w, 1 mark for timesing the m squared up, 1 mark for dividing h minus w down, and 1 mark for the square root of your answer. That's 4 marks. Question 3. In question 3, we had to take the equation p equals 4 bracket b take away a. I had to get a to be the subject. So in this equation, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that 4, because that's timed by this bracket, and I want to get a on its own. So if I can get rid of that 4 by dividing both sides by 4, I'll get p over 4 equals b take away a. Right. Now I want to get a on its own. A couple of things I can do. I can either move the b over and then change the negative sign later, or I can move the minus a over to this side, so it becomes a positive a. So if I add a to both sides, I'll get an a over here, and I take away p over 4 for both sides, so the b stays where it is, take away the p over 4, and that's you sorted out. So the alternative method there would be to move the b, so you'd have p over 4 take away b equals minus a, and then a, you'd have to switch the signs, everything, but you'd end up with the same answer. So in this question, you get 1 mark for dividing by the 4, and then you get 1 mark for sorting it out. So it's only worth 2 marks, this question. Okay, question 4. Question 4 is to take the formula v equals the square root of 2gr. And in this question, you want to get g to be the subject. So the first thing is you've got this big root sign over everything over here. So you really want to get rid of that, so you can get the g to be a normal power. So you get rid of the square root sign, you need to square both sides. So v squared equals 2gr. Alright. Now what you can do is just flip it around at this point. So 2gr equals v squared. And if you do that, now you've got 2g and r all multiplying together. If you want g on its own, you can divide this side by 2r. So you need to divide that side by 2r. And so you get g equals v squared over 2r is your answer. So in terms of marking, you get 1 mark for squaring both sides. You don't get a mark here because you just switch things around, and then you mark here. So 2 marks for that question. Question 5. Question 5 is an inequality. 16 take away 3k is less than 20 minus k. Right? And what you want to do here obviously is to find out or solve the inequality as best you can. Now, a couple of ways of doing it again here, folks. I'll do it the way that I think most of these would have tried it, which is to add k to both sides to get rid of that minus k, and to move the 16 to take 16 over. So if you do it that way, move the minus k over, so you'd add k to both sides, so it'll give you minus 2k less than, and if you take 16 off both sides, you'll get 4. Okay. Now you want to work out k, so divide both sides by negative 2. Right, divide both sides by negative 2. Now remember, if you change the sign of your letter from negative to positive, the inequality has to flip. And so you get your answer. Alright, so in this question, we'll have 1 mark for this line of working and 1 mark for this line of working. If you've done it a slightly different method, which is possible, and you've ended up with 2k greater than minus 4 there, then that would be the first mark, and then your answer obviously would be the same with the second mark. Okay, factorising a trinomial is the next question. 3d squared minus 5d plus 2 was question number 6. Now, to factorise, the first thing you look for is a common factor. Is there a number that goes in each term? No. The next thing to look for, is there a difference of 2 squares? 3d squared, no, 5d, so not a difference of 2 squares here, so we're left with a trinomial. What I tend to do is get 2 sets of brackets down right away. Now to make 3d squared, there's only one way of doing that, 3d and d. Okay, then I usually speak about smiles here to do a check, because ultimately that times that gives you this times this gives you that number, and then to get the middle term, that's when you tidy up. So to make 2, we've got the options of 1 times 2 or 2 times 1. If I put my 2 here, that'll give me 2d. And my 1 here, 1 times the 3d would give me my 3d. Now, to get plus 2 there when I multiply out, the signs have got to be the same, because negative times negative is a plus, and a plus times a plus is a plus. So, if I want to get a minus 5d in the middle, I would need to take away 2d and take away 3d, and that would give me minus 5d in the middle. Okay, so in terms of marking, you get 1 mark if you got the right terms. So if you've got 3d, d, 1 and 2, you get a mark. If you made a mistake with the signs, you wouldn't get the second mark. If your signs were fine, you get the second mark. So 2 mark question. Okay. Question 7 is to get the volume of this shape here, which is basically a hemisphere with a cone at the top. So how we go about it. So first of all, the volume of the half sphere, you like the hemisphere. The volume of the sphere formula is in your formula sheet, so in your notes somewhere. 4 over 3 pi r cubed is the formula for a sphere. For finding half a sphere, then we just half our answer, divided by 2. So it's 4 over 3 times pi times by the radius cubed. The radius of your sphere would be half the way across, which is 5, and then divide by answer by 2. So if you do that carefully, the answer that you should get in your calculator is 261.8 roughly. Okay. The volume of the cone, again in your formula list, is 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, and so in this occasion you're doing 1/3 times pi times the radius squared. So the radius of your cone is the same as the sphere, it's still 5. The height of the cone, times by the height. Now the height of the cone is not 12. 12 is the height of the whole thing. The cone height would only go from the top to where it meets the hemisphere. So how do you work out what that is? Well, the hemisphere is half a sphere. So if the whole way across it's 10, half the way up it would be 5. And so that's 5 off of the 12 that was the total height. So that cone would be 7 high. So that's your height. If you calculate that carefully using your calculator, the answer you should get is 183.26 roughly. So to get your total, you're just adding your two volumes together. So 261.8 plus 183.26 gives you a total of about 445, and get your units in centimetres cubed. Okay, so we're looking for 1 mark for working, 1 mark for answer. 1 mark for working, 1 mark for answer. If you get the height wrong, but you get an answer there, then you still get that mark. Same, if you forgot to divide that by 2, you'd lose that mark, but you gain this one. And then if you add together your two answers, then you get the last mark. So it's 5 marks. Okay, question 8 was a function question. So functions was covered on Friday's lesson. Gx in this case is 12 minus 5x. So a function essentially is like a function machine. If you put something in, what will happen to it is that you'll get 12 minus 5 lots of whatever you put in will be your answer. So you're asked to find g1 plus g to the minus 3. G minus 3, sorry. So g1 is just if you put a 1 in. So 12 take away 5 lots of 1. So 12 take away 5 lots of 1 is just 12 take away 5, which is 7. G of minus 3 is 12 take away 5 lots of minus 3. Now 5 lots of minus 3 is minus 15. 12 take away minus 15 would be 27. Okay, and then to get g1 plus g to the minus 3 or g of minus 3, it's just adding those two things together, 7 plus 27, and that would give you 34 as your answer. So question 8a I think we're on would get you 1 mark for getting the 7, 1 mark for getting 27, and 1 mark for getting 34. 3 marks. Alright, for 8 part B, you're asked to solve gk equals 14. So if you didn't watch the functions lesson on Friday, this one will be tricky for you because you'll just not be used to it. It's nothing hard, it's just that you need to get used to it. So if you put an x into your function, 12 minus 5x comes out. If you put a k into your function, 12 minus 5k comes out. Now if someone tells you that g of k is 14, that means whatever that function means is 14. So now we just need to solve this wee equation here. Keep your minus 5k. I want to take 12 off both sides, so that'll be 2. And then divide through by minus 5. So we get minus 2 over 5. Okay, so that was question 8b. And that was worth another 3 marks. 1 for setting out gk equals 12 minus 5k. So having the k involved gets you a mark. Making equal to 14 gets you the second mark, and solving it gets you the third mark. So it's important to understand whatever goes into the function affects what comes out. And if you're told what it equals, then you can set up an equation and solve it. Okay, last question. Bit of problem solving in this last question, just problem solving in algebra. The question said the perimeter, the whole way around, of both these shapes is the same. The perimeter of this shape here is basically just 2x plus 2, add 2x plus 2, add 2x plus 2, add 2x plus 2. So if you add all that up, 2x plus 2 4 times, you get 8x plus 8. So the perimeter of this shape is 8x plus 8. The perimeter of that shape is the same, according to the question. Now what we need to work out is what is that side, what's the length in algebra. So what we know is that the whole way around this perimeter is 8x plus 8 because it's the same. So if we want to figure out what the length is, it would be 8x plus 8. Take away what we know. We know that's x plus 3, so that must be x plus 3 as well. So if we take away 2x plus 6, and notice the brackets I've put around there, if we take away that bunch of stuff, we'll be left with 8x take away 2x is 6x. Add 8, take away that 6 would be plus 2. So we're left with 6x plus 2. That must be split evenly between those two sides. So the length of the rectangle is half of 6x plus 2, which is 3x plus 1. And it said in the question to show that the length of the rectangle is 3x plus 1. And that would have been you doing it. So in terms of marks, 1 for getting the perimeter in algebra, 1 for knowing that you had to do some sort of subtraction with x plus 8, 1 for getting to 6x plus 2, and 1 for the final answer for the length. So that was a 4-mark question. Okay, in total, I think that's the whole homework is out of 30. So the whole homework was out of 30. Could you just go through it, mark it, give yourself a score out of 30, and you can let Miss Ronnie or I know how you got on. We'll have your photos as well that you've submitted in the assignment, but this week we'd like you to have a wee look at your work and see how you got on compared to the solutions. Okay everyone, thank you, bye.